Welcome everybody to A Show Has No Name. Full spoilers discussion on Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4. I mean, before we start, greatest episode of all time?
Oh my god.
Greatest hour of TV of all time?
Not even an hour.
Yeah.
58 minutes.
It was so good,
Amazing.
huh?
Really
So good.
amazing. Yeah.
It was
I still haven't
incredible.
deleted it off my DVD.
If I wore a hat, I would tip it to that episode.
Yeah, it was incredible. So, as always, if you haven't watched one of our shows before, we go around the horn. We give 2 minutes for everybody to talk about a topic. We picked our 3 favorite topics from that week to discuss. That way we don't go for 7 hours talking about Game of Thrones. This week was easy because other than Cersei and having a meeting with the Iron Bank again, there was only 3 things, 3 places that had a lot of content this week. Mm-hmm. So we're going to kick it off with Dragonstone. And I'm going to have Casey start the conversation on this one.
Okay, so, yeah, Dragonstone, I mean, we get a little bit of girl talk between Missandei and Daenerys talking about what happened with her and Grey Worm before he left. That was kind of cute. But obviously the main thing is, before they start chopping it to bits, Jon wants to show Dany this giant mountain of dragon glass. And it wasn't, like, super impressive to me because it's just really fucking hard to see. But, I mean, it makes sense with the way it's lit and everything. But the music leading into it made me think of Jurassic Park, like hardcore. Like, it sounded just like the entrance gates to Jurassic Park to me. It was like 2 notes off. But obviously the biggest thing about that scene to me was the cave paintings from the Children of the Forest and the First Men, and that it basically tells a story, and it's, thousands of years old. And it's like proof, that Dany can see that Jon's not making this shit up, and I really loved that. One thing that people might have missed is the spirals and the circles with the lines through them were drawn all over. And if you remember back to the first episode, Season 1, Episode 1, when they first see the White Walkers, in the very first scene, there's dead bodies strewn about, and there's a circle with a line through it. Right. And then when the Fists of the First Men, when the Night's Watch get attacked there at the end of Season 2, you see all the dead bodies when Jon and Mance and all of them come by and they see what the hell happened, and there's horse heads and everything, and it's doing a spiral. So all these symbols have to mean something about the White Walkers and their relationship with Westeros and maybe with the Children of the Forest. Maybe there's a place they're going. Maybe it's the God's Eye, the Isle of Faces, one of the only places in the south of Westeros that still has weirwood trees and is basically like never visited by anyone except for Howland Reed. So if he comes into the story later, I think that there might be something really interesting happening. Maybe that's where the final battle goes down. I'd like to think so. But anyway, that was really epic and awesome to see that. And as far as Dragonstone goes, that was the part for me that was the antithesis of the whole thing. I really love seeing that. And it confirmed a lot of theories for me.
All right. Corey?
Yeah. I guess Casey said the main part. Yeah,
the
just
curse of following Casey.
yeah, that was the worst. Yeah, I mean, I just agree. Finally, Jon has some kind of proof or something to show her that they work together. That's been the problem all along. It's just taking his word. I was like, I wish he could have taken a picture of the White Walkers to show her or something, but obviously you can't do that. So nice to at least have the White Walkers there so he can show her that they need to work together. Hopefully, she'll take his side. She said she would. She still really wants him to bend that knee. I don't know. I don't know if he just should or what. They need to get past that, but yeah, that was the main. That's what else happened in Greystone, in Dragonstone.
Theon showed up.
Oh yeah, Theon showed up. It was nice too. That part was awesome. Watch Jon choke him out. So the only reason I'm not going to kill you is because of you saved Sansa. And then who's Jon's advisor?
Davos.
Davos.
The
Onion Knight.
Oh, it's funny when he was saying that Jon wasn't looking at her heart.
Right.
So,
Oh yeah, build up that sexual tension, y'all.
yeah. Like I wouldn't be looking at her heart either, but Wonder if that's alluding like to something that's maybe they're actually going to hook up, or if that was just a funny comment they put in there. But yeah, moving in the right direction. There's obviously a lot of dragon glass there too, so should be all he needs.
All right, Jimmy, you're up.
All right, so I really like the girl talk between Danny and I forget what her name is, but I wanted her to tell us if I'm so stuck on the fact that I want to know if they took his balls or his dick. They took something from down there.
Probably both.
I'm embarrassed about. Huh?
Do you need the not a hot dog app?
I'm just.
I think it's probably both, just for aerodynamic.
So that was like a lesbian thing.
Yeah.
I'm just. I feel like he totally made love to her, and he's got to only be missing his balls, right? I mean, when you want to punk a dog, you take his nuts, and then he stops being so aggressive, right?
I think eunuchs don't have a hog anymore.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's a eunuch.
And being less aggressive wouldn't help a soldier.
It's true.
So they left his nuts.
That is true. Maybe
all right, and then I wanted John to say White Walker. Like, I feel like she doesn't get it still. I wanted him to be like, look, this is a White Walker. This is the thing I'm telling you about right here, this drawing. It's like he just left it for her to know, and she doesn't know. She doesn't know anything. So I was still stuck on that. And then I really love that she asked for his help. She's like, what do you think that I should do? Right. I'm in a war. Yeah. I'm losing. You're the man. People crown you king. Tell me. Please tell me what you think I should do. And he's like, what? She's like, tell me what you would do. And he's like, and then it cuts out. And another thing, it cut out before he bends the knee. Like, did he bend the knee? I don't know.
I think he did.
Now it's his pride is stuck. We get it. You're a prideful bastard. We get it. But don't cut out on the scenes. Like, he must have bent the knee, right? Because they're playing nicely after that. Really nice. They don't want us to see him bend the knee. But they were totally getting along after.
So I feel like they came to an agreement, right? Where he knows he had to explain that he can't do it for his people, that they're not going to listen to him. And she's like, I don't give a shit. And you know, her comment to him is, you need me, right? And he's like, yes, I can't do it alone. And she says, okay, well, bend the knee. Is your pride more important than your people's survival? You know what I mean? And that's got to sink into him that, okay, he's going to do it. He's going to, you know, when essentially I assume he's going to keep it quiet until the whole thing's blown over and then say, okay, guess what? We're going to report to them, you know, but
that's exactly what he said to Mance Raider too, right before Mance Raider died.
Right.
He told him the same thing.
Right. Exactly. So, and then, yeah, just, you know, the one thing with Reek hitting the shore there and him and John's reunion, you know, we're actually working a little backwards here, but I thought after having the Arya and Sansa reunion be so awesome that it was great to have a reunion that was not so awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I guess they haven't seen each other, since John left for the Wall, right?
Yeah.
And
pretty much, yeah.
And then Reek did all those terrible things before he was turned into Reek, and then all that other stuff. So, yeah, real interesting. You know how two people's paths could not be more different there. You know, and yeah. So just those are the main things. I guess the only thing that nobody else has said is that, you know, flat out, Danny calling out Tyrion, saying, "Look, I think you don't want to fight your family." You know, and him taking a long, deep breath about that, you know what I mean? And her really questioning to him, and then flat out saying to all you guys, you know, I'm sick of your clever plans. I want to go roast some people. And, you know, interesting, though, then even after she asked Jon Snow for help, his advice is the same as everybody else's. It's that if you're going to be this leader that does things different, you don't go roast everybody.
I agree. I mean, I guess... I guess with, you know, John telling her the same thing, I mean, I could see his point, but she does it in style, you gotta admit. She's gonna do it.
He does tell her that.
And he's right, and it's interesting that she did diss, you know, Tyrion at this point. She's like, you know, what have you done for me now? And you are afraid to fight your family. He probably is. I think he still harbors that younger brother of Jamie, and
Jamie saved him.
Right.
Is Jamie younger than him, or is he younger than? I thought he was younger than Jamie because Jamie wouldn't be here.
The twins were born before.
Yeah. Yep. And I think since everyone talked about pretty much everything, I do like the location that they shot it at, and the cave with all the dragon glass or obsidian probably wasn't the most glorious, scene, but I thought it was actually really well done. Just it was more what I expected, just veins of obsidian instead of just like this crystal cave and everything. And
I thought it was gonna look more crazy when they walked in.
Oh, it's not like the other cave. They didn't get a chance to light it up.
True, and well, I mean, I thought it looked better from like cinematography point of view. I thought it looked better, and
the dragon glass was like the second most impressive thing in that fucking cave. So,
but I call I always think back to Casey's prediction from our first show about Jon and Daenerys getting together and what might happen, sacrificing Dany at the end, and I think you're starting to see that. So Casey's prediction looks like it's coming. It's going down that path because they're looking at each other.
Back.
He might. I don't know. That's too far to tell, but
it wouldn't fail, right?
All right, cool. So that's Dragonstone for this week. The show gets better and better, though. We're gonna move on to Winterfell. Corey, you kick us off with Winterfell.
So Winterfell. Obviously, Arya's there. The Stark children are together. It's awesome watching her come in. The guards giving her shit. I almost expected her to like fight them or something. I wasn't sure what was going to happen there. It got pretty tense for a second. But funny to see her give them the slip, and then head down to the tomb, and then just that the reunion was so hit you right in the feels, that's for sure, Nick. And I was tearing up.
Yeah.
That was definitely the best reunion so far. The Littlefinger. It was funny to see Littlefinger give Bran the dagger and act like he's trying to manipulate him somehow. The person who sees everything, like good luck with that. He has no chance. I mean, obviously he doesn't know, but he has no clue who he's messing with there. And then cool that he gave the dagger to Arya, who will obviously put it to good use. And then her training with Brienne.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that training.
Yeah, that was awesome. She looks like the only one who can go toe to toe with her at this point. And just funny the difference in size and the obviously fighting styles, and seeing her with what is it? What's its name?
Needle.
Needle. Yeah, awesome.
All right, Jimmy.
All right, so I was playing around with a theory in my head that Arya might be... So at the end of last season, or when she left the place that she was training at, it was a dark room with that other girl and her. And we know that their training, they can take on anybody's identity, basically. So for a second there, I was thinking that it might be that other girl that got out of there. And now that she shows up, it's like she wasn't even recognized. But then she showed up in the tomb, and her sister knew exactly where she was. So I was like, that's not a coincidence. So that I put that to rest. I wish that Bran would have messed with Littlefinger more. Yeah. I wanted him to get in his head and let him know that he's a nobody. It's not going to work. I think it's interesting that he gave the dagger to him. Like, hey, here's the dagger that was supposed to kill you. Do it whatever you want. And then Arya and Sansa together. She's like, "Do I have to call you Lady Stark?"
Right.
And without missing a beat, Sansa's like, "Yes, yes." So that was amazing, and they're still getting along great, and I love seeing that. I think everybody's a little heartbroken that Bran is beyond emotions now. They want to smile at him, and they're not going to get it. That girl, she was so heartbroken that he did not give a fuck about her.
Yeah.
He's like, "What do you mean? You're not going to beg me to stay?" Like, he's like, "Okay, you did what you needed to do. Get out of my face." And I was like, man, that's gut-wrenching. Jesus. And then Arya is a fucking badass. We've been wondering how, oh man, badass.
Absolutely. So, the whole thing with Littlefinger, talking to Bran and whatnot, and I kind of suspected this and did a little bit of research, not a ton, but a little bit. When Littlefinger starts talking about chaos, and Bran says to him, "Chaos is a ladder." So that's a throwback to season 3 when Varys and Littlefinger are talking about how creating chaos makes people like them be able to move up in the world instead of the kings and noble-born people and whatnot. So that was Bran saying chaos is a ladder, was telling Varys that I know everything, or not Varys, Littlefinger, that I've seen it all. I know it all. You know, this is don't play your games with me, sort of thing. You know, also a throwback to the whole thing with the knife is that Varys fingered Tyrion with the knife back at the beginning of this whole thing, which basically started up the whole thing where Caitlyn was anti-Lannister.
What do you mean by finger?
You know,
You fingered him?
What do you mean by fingered?
Littlefinger said that Tyrion used to own
That's why he has a
knife.
little finger.
Right.
Varys
Right,
fingered
right.
Tyrion.
So-
Roger that.
So, anyways, the you know, just that whole thing, you know, Littlefinger's still trying to play it, and Bran, you know, basically told him that no, that ain't happening. Let's see the rest of it. I would just say I'm going to spend my last 30 seconds just saying that the Arya and Sansa reunion, like, I literally couldn't see the TV because there were tears in my eyes and stuff. Just sitting back watching that happen. And the fact that Sansa first kind of laughed at Arya when she was, I forget what her comment was, where she was
About
talking
her
about
list.
how she was a warrior or whatever. Or, yeah, the list of killing people. And then when they meet Bran later in the woods, and Bran's like, oh yeah, she's got the list. And then Sansa is kind of nodding, and she's like, who's on this list? And then she sees Arya fighting. So now Sansa's on board. She knows that she's got the most badass little sister in the 10 kingdoms. Wait, how many kingdoms are there? Go ahead.
7.
Jeff, you're up.
Me? Okay. I think, well, I'll go with the Arya thing, because Arya fighting Brienne of Tarth, that's the first time we've actually seen her do anything like that since she left King's Landing back when Ned got his head cut off. So to see how she's progressed, and the reason why she fought Brienne was because she thinks Brienne bested and killed the Hound. That's why she sparred against her, to see if she's good enough now to kill the Hound when it comes his time.
She doesn't know he's alive.
She doesn't, but she's always wanted to see if she could beat the Hound.
You don't
And that was
think maybe
that's the way of testing herself to see if she could have beat the Hound, was by beating Brienne of Tarth. I did like the meeting between Sansa and Arya, because I thought it was going to be more like Nymeria at first. I wasn't sure. I was kind of on the fence, but it was blood is stronger than distance, it looks like, and it was awesome. I was trying not to cry. I was trying to hide it from my wife. I was like, no. And I thought the dagger was interesting, and I did like Bran, how he's like, here, you can have it, Arya. I don't need it. Just a knife. And she's like, it's Valyrian steel.
Now she can kick some White Walker ass.
She can, and I think she's going to be pivotal in the final battle. I think they're going to keep her there until. I almost think that Littlefinger's days are numbered now. I think with Arya there, she's really sharp and Bran knows everything. I think that Littlefinger's days are numbered.
Make it look like an accident.
Yeah, well, it's easy for her. And then the two guards, I couldn't help but think of them as like a call out to Jay and Silent Bob of Winterfell. You know, and they're and of course I didn't recognize her because I thought she died a long time ago. All right, Casey.
Casey.
I want 30 extra seconds to fix all the stuff that Nate got wrong. The Littlefinger talks about chaos in season 1, episode 3, and there's 7 goddamn kingdoms. Fuck. Anyway, yeah, my favorite part of the whole Winterfell thing was obviously with Bran when Littlefinger, he sees him back. He thinks he has a claim to Winterfell, so he's trying to schmooze him. He's trying to give him this cool thing. He thinks, it's a kid. He'll think it's shiny. I think it's cool. He doesn't know what's up with Bran, but Bran knows exactly what's up with Littlefinger. He knows everything, and with one line, he made Littlefinger go from the coercer to the shitting his pants moment. Like, he is just completely terrified. He has no idea what he's in for, but yeah, Bran is going to shed some light on all the bad things Littlefinger's done, specifically to the Starks, and that will be the end of him. Mm-hmm. Arya coming home was great. Her having to get through the gate was actually reminiscent of season 1 when she's in King's Landing and she's all dirty and they won't let her back into the keep, so she has to find weird ways in, and that's why she's always in the dungeons and stuff. Plus she was chasing cats. But yeah, I loved her sparring with Brienne. I loved you doing the water dancing with the Braavosi sword. You got to see what happens when a Braavosi sword play goes against the a typical knight sword play. Very surprising, very cool. She gets kicked around, but she gets right back up she's just ready to go, and that was a great scene. Yeah, I actually really like the scene with Bran and Mira as well, because now we know why Bran is so weird. He's like, look, I had 14 years of me being Bran. Now I have thousands of years of history, so the amount of himself that is Bran anymore is like a drop of water in the ocean of who he is now. So he knows what he's supposed to say, but he doesn't feel the empathy. He has way too much going through his head. He's just like an overloaded computer at this point. And I thought that was cool that they shed some light on the fact that his abilities are also kind of taking a huge toll on who he is as a person. He'll never be Bran again. And that was heartbreaking, but it was really interesting to see just the mythos of what his powers are.
Mm.
Absolutely. And then that brings us to what I call the field. We call the loot train.
Loot train.
Jimmy, you kick it off.
All right, so real quick on the last thing, I hope Bran can still take over animals, and I want to see him take over a dragon. So
he will fly.
Right.
He will fly. Okay, so the battlefield was so intense. Even a scene where my favorite one, I don't know if he's number one, but Bronn is my man. And there was a scene where he was running away in terror. And I was like, is he really not as badass as I always hoped he was? And then, boom, right away you're like, oh, he just didn't have a weapon. He's good now. He's back. And then, boom, he just flourishes. He knew exactly what he was doing. He looked a little terrified. But, man, did he kill it. Everything was structured. Everything was planned out. More perfect than I could have ever imagined. And then we had Jaime, who may have lost one hand, but goddamn does he still have both balls. He was all in. He never fled. He didn't leave his men. I was so sure he was going to turn tail and run, but he fucking stuck it in, stayed with it. I also predicted that the episode got leaked and people kept talking shit and saying stuff. And I was like, the only way that this episode could be epic is if Dany jumps on a dragon and rolls out. She technically didn't break any of the rules. She didn't burn down any castles. Right? I mean, she wrecked shit, but she didn't burn any castles. She literally just took out a third of the Lannister army in one foul swoop, just like that. Part of me wanted that dragon to get speared right in the throat. I'm not going to lie to you. It would have been pretty epic if Bronn would have hit the dragon right here and then game over. And I don't think Jaime's going to drown. I think he's good to go. I'm sure that they are going to escape. And
yeah, no chance Jaime's dead. That's for sure. I mean, What can I say? I talked about the last battle on the ships being a little bit of a letdown for me, where it was just kind of too focused on that one deck. Man, this solved all that and more. I mean, so great. Just the whole start of it with Braun being like, "Wait, listen," and then they hear the horses and stuff. Like I thought they were going to hear the dragon coming at him, but no, you hear the horses. And then to watch the Dothraki come over the hill, the one shot of the Dothraki from behind with like in the middle of the pack of horses and stuff going in, so great. Then she swoops in, torches everybody, awesome. Braun is a badass, like you're saying. My favorite part of Braun was the moment when the Dothraki cut his horse's leg off and he fell and his gold went flying, and he gave the perfect like goodbye gold face, where he just knew that, oh shit, I want to go get that, but that's not the priority right now, and went out to fight instead. I thought that was perfect. And then there was a moment like basically around then, when the fight had been going on for a while, where it was straight up horror film. It was nothing but Jamie and Braun and what's his name, Dickon, just like looking. They're just looking around at the flames and the burn up bodies, and then all of a sudden somebody comes riding through and a horse on fire, and it was so cool. The music and everything, just it really gave it that war as hell kind of feel. And not only that, but oh shit, here comes the dragon for another pass sort of thing. And then I guess the last thing else to say is just the Braun versus Danny. I never saw that coming, ever in a million years. I never saw a scene of this show where it's Braun versus Danny, head to head, staring into each other's eyes. So awesome. You know what I mean? Just really, really cool that they went there, and that he hit. That was cool too.
Yeah.
That
Jeff,
thing is very versatile. I did not see that coming.
Jeff, you're up.
All right, cool. Yeah, that was epic. Man, I honestly thought after hearing the Dothraki coming and they looked sort of similar to like a Roman phalanx. I was like, well, phalanx is pretty good against cavalry, but then when the dragon showed up, I'm like, well, that's what the Romans never counted on, was a dragon just cutting a hole through the line.
Yeah.
And I was on the edge of my seat watching that whole battle scene, and just it was truly what war is like. It's just chaos, burning bodies, people running on fire. And I too was surprised that Braun got a hit. I thought it was going down the throat of the dragon. I really did, just because of the way they shot that scene. And then it hits him in the shoulder, and you almost think Danny's going to lose it, and then you see Jamie, he's not backing down, and he goes for it. And if Braun hadn't have saved him, I don't know. I think Jamie's not going to make it. I really don't, because he's wearing full plate armor.
Right.
And there's no way that they had quick releases. It took hours to put armor onto a knight. It took forever. And I just don't see it, especially with all the padding getting so saturated with water. Unless a miracle happens, if the dragon goes for a drink and just scoops him up, maybe takes a little nip of his other hand. Who knows?
We're about to meet the lizard people.
Lizard people. I almost think with this battle, and it might be close proximity to Old Town, I'm wondering if Jorah the Explorer is going to show. I mean, Jorah Mormont's going to show up. I almost think this. That's what I call him.
Jorah.
Sort of like Dora. But I almost have a feeling he's going to, because he left after he was healed. So.
Yep. Casey.
All right, yeah, the Field of Fire 2.0. It was super epic seeing it. I love the tension they built up with Braun hearing the thunderous roar of the horses coming. I love that you feel like the horses are going to get there and like he said, like run right into these front lines, and there's going to be kind of a mutual casualty situation. But then out of the clouds, Drogon shows up, and he's just ready to wreck shit. He immediately breaks their fucking lines. The way that they show the dragon fire and disintegrating people, and the impact when it hits the ground is just boom, it just spreads, and it fucks people up so bad. People are like anywhere near it, they are just burning alive, screaming in horror. The only thing I didn't like is that Dany wasn't using the dragon in the greatest way. Like she could have drawn a line down the entire line of the army instead of just breaking in the middle, and that would have made more sense to me than going over and, I don't know, destroying all the fucking food that they could totally use. But that was a little nitpicky thing. Also, when Bronn is shooting the scorpion at her, she is like coming at him, and it goes over her shoulder. She goes, let's try that again. So she spins around and takes the same fucking like track at him. I was like, bitch, like go up and take straight down at him. Just like that thing can't aim everywhere. Like be smart about it. But yeah, when the dragon gets hit, I mean, Drogon's not going to die in the first battle she ever gets to use him in Westeros. But when he has that horrible gut-wrenching scream, I mean, a little piece of my heart broke off. I was terrified for him. But the ending, the cliffhanger ending with Jaime trying to go all Camelot on him, and Tyrion's like, no, you fucking idiot, don't do it. I mean, it's all so great. And I love that moment that you mentioned, Nate, too, where Bronn loses his gold, because in the entire show, he's always been about the gold. He's like, I'm a sellsword, even with Tyrion, his best friend. He's like, he had to leave and not support him during his trial by combat, and he had to choose, and that was the moment where he finally became a soldier, a loyal soldier, and not just a sellsword. So that was kind of an interesting part for his character. So I think they'll get pulled out of the water and used as captives in the next episode. But
he's still a sellsword, and he's waiting on a castle.
Yeah.
Corey, bring us home.
Yeah, totally awesome battle. Seeing Drogon get hit with that arrow totally did suck. I mean, they obviously are going to need a whole lot more of those. Hopefully, I'm wondering how many they have, because I feel like they should have brought more than one to the battle for sure. I mean, even if they had 10 and they were manned and aiming at it, they could definitely do some damage if they could do that with one. I don't really get the point of bringing one, or if it was like just in case a dragon shows up, at least we have one. But I mean, they don't look that expensive. They're just big bows or big crossbows. So I thought they should have had more than one. I mean, he kind of got the job done with one. But also agree with Casey. I thought it was awesome seeing her come in the dragon. Obviously, that was so awesome. She looks cooler flying the dragon now than she did in previous seasons. I think it looked a little hokey before, and it looks pretty badass now. It was funny when the archers all tried to fire at the dragon, and they just, like, obviously that's not going to do anything with regular arrows. But yeah, she totally could have done some better flying there. I mean, she was hitting all the carts while the whole freaking line, she could have just torched all those guys. But she's new at this flying and burning part of it. Maybe should get better. But yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome watching Tyrion, same Flea, and there's no way Jaime's dead. I feel like if they would have torched him if he was gonna die there.
Hey, was anybody else mad that Cersei got the fucking gold? I thought for sure they'd intercept the gold, but the gold went way ahead. I was like, motherfucker, now she has the gold.
I think there's soldiers that they have now. That's what I'm wondering.
Huh?
Did she?
How big of a win was this? That was the tail end, right?
Yeah.
Even if they don't hurry up and get the fuck out, they're gonna get ambushed and they're done.
Yeah, and the gold was through the gates already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think, though, I mean, there was a good counterattack strategy after getting her fleet decimated.
For sure.
It was a good, and she upped the ante. She's like, okay, so you got ships, and what's up? We just melted your fucking army with a dragon.
And can we just talk about how many people have died? Like, where do all these soldiers keep coming from?
Right.
They're war after war after war after war.
Well, there's
Only
3 kingdoms, so
each year they have
keep
less.
pulling them in.
Yeah, Danny's the only one with new soldiers from other lands.
Well, like John mentions that the North only has like 10,000 men right now to fight the Night's King, but when Rob went south, he had like 60,000 in season 2.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that explains how they all got wrecked. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just wondering how crippled the Lannisters are actually now. Like, where
I
does
think morally,
stand?
they're
all
pretty
right.
fucking crippled.
Well, I mean, they also got a light of hope. I mean, they hit the dragon.
Wasn't did
Yeah,
I?
like I said, 20 of those things.
Right.
Yeah,
I-
you got a
you
chance.
gotta
One on each
imagine
tower
King's
in
Landing,
King's Landing.
is just going to be surrounded with,
How-
you know.
How epic was it that the dragon, like, he burns the thing that shot him, and then it's like sitting there, and he's just like,
Yeah,
knocks
his
the
tail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
That tail is
fuck
vicious, man.
You know, I
Yeah.
could see why Danny was. She went down and strafed the line of caravan, but I can see why she cut holes in the line of troops because
For sure.
any survivors, she's not going to take them as prisoners. She's going to try and win them over to her case and throw
Yeah.
off their Lannister. I mean, and
Was
plus
it
the Lannister.
like
That was the first time I ever fought a
impediment?
Dothraki. Really, I mean, a
Oh,
horde.
yeah, Dothraki were amazing.
Yeah, it's funny.
They're like
they're
Indians.
them talking to Tyrion saying, "Your people can't fight."
Yeah.
Come on, you got a dragon and swords. All right.
Well, they got those badass curved blades that just are great for close quarter combat.
They're designed for horseback combat,
Yeah.
so you can hit someone and never lose stride. It's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
They freed the
Thanks for watching,
horses too.
everybody.
We could
for
talk
watching.
for hours.
We got 3 more in this season.
No.
Sucks that they're
Already
so short.
more than
I
halfway done.
know.
Yeah, sucks that they're so
I
short.
don't want to
but-
think about it being over again.
Yeah.